Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to week one of the Battle of the Shorts. My name is Dad Like Book, and I'm here with my co-host, Greg Bear. We're back with our first week of competition. Week one, I'm going to get out, excuse me, Greg. We're going to get out our bracket and show you the 4 stories that we're going to be covering in week one. Here we go. Connie Willis taking on Keith Laumer in the round one first matchup of all of the tournament. And then our second matchup is Robert Bloch versus Ian Watson. I'll show you the stories here. I'll get the bracket out here in just a minute when we determine a winner of each of the matchups. The first matchup was, I'm going to go back to normal voice, skip the bit. First matchup was Connie Willis with Firewatch in this anthology against Keith Laumer with, is it The Devil You Don't? I think that's the title. Let me get it correct. The Devil You Don't by Keith Laumer in Alchemy and Academy. These are the first 2 short stories that I'm reading for this entire competition, and they did not disappoint. Well, one of them definitely didn't disappoint. To start it off, I read Connie Willis's Firewatch. This was roughly this was about a 40-page short story novelette, novella, whatever you want to call it. And before I forget, completely interrupting my train of thought, but each week I'm going to try to promote a good friend of mine on BookTube or whatnot, or eBay, or somebody in the book space that we're in. And this week is the Book Rapport, Brandon over at the Book Rapport. So go check him out on whatnot and on YouTube. Back to the program. Thanks, Bear. Appreciate you keeping me on track. His name's Greg, not Bear. Okay. Firewatch by Connie Willis. Let's get actually serious. I don't know if I can keep this bit up talking about really serious stories. It feels weird, conflicting interests. The second story I could definitely talk about because it's silly. I try to get a little serious here. I understand I look like a goofball. Firewatch is a story that is essentially like a historical, not really an alternate history sci-fi, but a historical science fiction, mostly taking place in 1940 during World War II in London, during the London Blitz of St. Paul's Cathedral. Our main character, he is a history student in the future. And they have the technology to go back in time. And each of the history students, final exam, essentially, their practicum is to go back into a period of time and do something. They don't know what it is, but they're sent back in time. And our main character's roommate was sent back to the Stone Ages, essentially, for a plague. And our main character, we'll call him Bartholomew because that's what he's referred to as in the story. He, in the story, meaning when he assumes a different identity back in 1940, he goes back in time and he is a part of the Firewatch to essentially keep the cathedral standing. I was not super aware of this historical event, but it's really interesting when I did some quick research after I read it, and really sad. The cathedral was being bombed at the time, and they were trying to burn it to the ground. And so these incendiary devices, these bombs, they were trying to get it to collapse on itself. And the Firewatch was a group of volunteers who took it upon themselves to put out the fires, keep the cathedral standing. That's most of what happens in this short story. I don't want to spoil everything. Normally in my reviews, I will, and it's for a longer book or something, I'll start out establishing the plot, and then I'll tell you no spoilers. I'm not going to spoil the end of this because I think it would be, it just wouldn't suit the video very well. It brought me to tears by the end of it. I think that the historical importance and the context and the themes and just the emotional takeaway was incredibly powerful. I had never read Connie Willis before. This story was published in 82. Let me double check that really quick. Yes, there it is. 1982. And it was the winner of a Hugo and a Nebula. So many other people clearly liked it, and it won awards. So I would give this one a nearly perfect score. I felt weird about giving it like a 10 out of 10 right out of the gate when I'm about to read 99 other stories. I don't want to set the bar too high or too low, but I want to try to be just genuine to the ranking and how I feel. It's a 9 out of 10. It was a near perfect short story. Made me cry 3 or 4 times. Not sobbing, but brought tears to my eyes. Was very, very powerful. So found in the Terry Carr Best Science Fiction of the Year 12. Firewatch by Connie Willis gets very high marks. Bear? Greg Bear, what do you think? Totally. Yep. Those are my thoughts as well. All right. Going to do the bit again. For Keith Laumer's The Devil You Don't, inside of Alchemy and Academy by Anne McCaffrey, or selected by Anne McCaffrey. This story was a little bit shorter, published in 1970, I want to say. Yep, 1970. It was my first experience with Laumer as well. I think I have a copy of like the only title that comes to mind of a full-length novel that I've heard a lot about is Dinosaur Beach, which Jake over at Pulp Mortem just talked about in his most recent video as being really good. So I didn't want to bring in too high of hopes for Laumer, but this was an exercise in comedy and an exercise in just utter absurdity. It was a fine story. It wasn't great. It wasn't bad. Essentially, we have this couple, a professor and his wife, who get just dropped in on by the devil himself. And the devil is a normal guy, or at least poses to be one, a nice guy. And he's being tormented by alien demons from another world who are trying to infiltrate hell because they're starving. They're having like a food shortage on their world. So, right. And then, he comes to the professor for help because he needs help driving out these alien demons. And they could take different forms, 2 of which are broccoli and pizza. Yeah, you heard me right. Broccoli and pizza. And I won't go any further than that because if you care to read about that absurdity, go pick it up. It's like 25 pages. It didn't really hold my attention for very long, and I found the humor to just be too much. Good science fiction humor can work if it's done in the right temperature, if that makes sense. This was boiling hot and scalded the whole time, and it was just not my flavor. So with that, the first matchup, forgive me, Greg, the first matchup of our tournament bracket, which I'm going to fill in here, will go to Connie Willis with, oh gosh, I can't write like this. Connie, might have misspelled your name. Connie, good night. That's an N. Connie Willis with Firewatch, a phenomenal start to our bracket. With matchup 1 done, Greg, you got anything to mention? Nope, you good? All right. I think my co-host has fallen asleep over here. All right. Next up, I have read one story by one of them. Anyway, our second matchup, Robert Bloch with That Hellbound Train, taking on Ian Watson's, what was it called? Ghost Lecturer. Thank you. Thank you, Brain. All right. I read first Robert Bloch's That Hellbound Train in the Fantasy Hall of Fame, right here. Great cover. It was not quite 20 pages. Sometimes I want a little bit more. Sometimes I want a little bit less, but that seemed to be the right length for this one. And then I read Ghost Lecturer in this Time Travelers from Isaac Asimov's science fiction magazine. edited by Gardner Dozois. First, we're going to talk about Bloch. So, Robert Bloch, very well known, I believe, for Psycho, and did a lot of horror, a lot of like thriller, creepy fiction. I've heard mixed things about him. I've only read, I think, one story by him, and it was in Dangerous Visions, like 8 months ago, probably 6 to 8 months ago. So it's been a while, and I think it was the story in which Harlan Ellison writes a Jack the Ripper response. Could be completely wrong. If I'm wrong, scratch that from the tape. I'm only human. I'm just an announcer. But Bloch in this one, I want to say this is the title. This is like the cover story for The Best of Robert Bloch. It's that green train. If I'm good enough at editing this, I'll flash a picture up here of that. But I think it's the cover story for that. So knowing that going in, I was like, I kind of thought this better be good, and it was fine. It was fine. It was told in this kind of campfire story, grandpa, old timey, like learn from my mistakes kind of narration style, where it was super zoomed out, like 40,000 foot view, where we watch this man throughout his life essentially think that he's outsmarted the conductor of that hellbound train. The like takeaway or lesson, if you will, was very just heavy-handed. It was like spelled out for us at the end, and I just did not vibe with that. I'm sure in the 1950s, I think, when this was published, I'm sure that was like, all good and well. 1958. So this is a long time ago. I might have resonated with readers back then, but I think in the current literary climate, it did not. It bothered me. It was very spelled out at the end, and like almost like talking down to the reader, and that bothered me. So I think I'd give this one like a solid 6 out of 10. It was above average, but it was a story that I think, knowing Bloch's reputation and his, I guess, I had lofty expectations than maybe Ian Watson. It fell flat for me. So 6 out of 10 for that Hellbound Train from Robert Bloch. Next, we have Ian Watson's Ghost Lecturer. I keep forgetting. I want to call it The Embedding because that's the novel I am aware of by him. I haven't read it, though. First experience with Ian Watson. Wasn't a bad one. Wasn't a particularly great one. Very much like my Robert Bloch experience, it was mid. And not mid in the bad way that like would just be like, I'll never read Watson again, but more like he's going to have, like, who am I going to pick before? I'm going to pick a lot of authors to read before him, even in short fiction. This is just kind of like your average story. We follow basically a scientist or a intellectual man named, is it Joe? I think it's Jim Roseberry. He read all 4 of these short stories today, by the way. So I'm trying not to cross my wires, but compacted into a couple hours of reading, I read all 4 of these. So Jim Roseberry, he invents this like technology or ability to transport people back from the dead to present day. And they transported Galileo and one other like famous intellectual scientist, and it just wasn't getting TV ratings, I guess, apparently. So they were like, we're going to get this Roman guy named, is it Lucretius? Titus Lucretius Carus, a Roman who wears sandals and who has a completely different worldview from them. They resurrect him and bring him back. And Jim Roseberry's just very self-indulgent, clearly. I don't know if this was supposed to be poking fun at somebody, but somebody like a real figure. But all he wants to do is like bring these figures back from the dead, these very famous, like groundbreaking geniuses, and just be like, I know more than you. I know where you messed up. And it's like, duh, you have like 1,000 years of technology and education and knowledge, and like everything, like they didn't have that. No. So super self-indulgent ego guy brings back old Roman and then proceeds to like try to school him in front of our narrator and his family, and doesn't go well. Crazy things start happening because I guess a ripple in this technology, the ripple effect, is that it starts channeling the worldview of this resurrected person into real life. So random things start occurring that are not supposed to happen and are literally impossible, unless you do the Roseberry effect or something. Yeah, it has a really weird ending where it just kind of just like fizzles out, and I didn't really. It had also like this touch of humor that didn't it didn't quite land, but it was not quite as like, haha, I'm trying to be hilarious joke telling as the Keith Laumer one. So all in all, I think I would give this one a 5 out of 10, an average score. So with that, our second matchup, edging it out by a hair, because I have to declare a winner. And it's not like they were bad. Like I don't want to diminish both of them. They weren't that great. The clear winner of these 4 stories was Connie Willis. But the winner of this matchup between Robert Bloch and Ian Watson is Robert Bloch. Robert. Yep. So now we have 2 winners out of 4. And that's kind of all I got for you. We'll see if I do this bit for every episode. I don't know what the heck I'm doing here. This is a swing for me, and I hope it's not a miss. But I hope you all enjoyed. Greg, I haven't talked to you in a while. Do you have any closing thoughts for the people? Just an apt analysis right there. Love it. Thanks, Greg. With that, I've been Dad Like Book. These have been 4 short stories. This has been the beginning of the Battle of the Shorts, and I will see you in week 2. Thank you.